Helion Station looked perfect from space. A bright metal ring circling a blue-green world, glowing softly like a floating crown. Ships moved in smooth lines of light, giving the illusion that life here was calm and controlled. Inside the commercial ring, that illusion broke quickly. Wide walkways flashed with hollow ads. Shops and cafes lit the path with bright colors. Soft gravity kept the crowds moving in smooth waves. The air smelled like coffee, cleaning spray, and warm metal. In the center of all this noise stood a busy cafe called Stellar Brew 9. Behind its counter, Lena Orcs worked the morning rush with tired speed. Steam shot from the machines. Screens blinked with non-stop orders. Her hands moved without rest. Tap, pour, slide. Her silver uniform felt tight across her shoulders, and she hated how the fabric drew eyes she never wanted. But she needed the job. Rent, heat, food, medicine for her daughter. Everything depended on these credits. Behind a swinging door, in a narrow storage hallway, her daughter Mira waited. The space was cold, cramped, and full of rattling pipes. Mira sat on an old crate, hugging her knees. Her oversized gray jumper belonged to some freight company. Her boots were too big, taken from a donation bin. She tried not to shiver. Before the shift, Lena had knelt beside her. "Stay here," she whispered. "The shelter is full again. I can't leave you alone in the cabin. I'll bring food when I can. Just for today." Mira had nodded, trying to be brave. She never wanted to make trouble. Out in the cafe, chaos surged. A young worker carrying glowing blue Starlight fizz drink stumbled. The tray tilted. Cups fell. Liquid splashed across the floor in a bright, sparkling wave. The spill slid under the staff door and crawled across the storage hallway. The cold hit Myra's feet. She gasped. The crate shifted. She tried to stand. Her socks slipped. In one helpless motion, she fell through the staff door and tumbled into the cafe. Everything stopped. Customers froze mid-sip. Voices cut off. Even the steaming machines seemed to hush. Mira stood shaking, blue liquid dripping from her jumper. Wet footprints marked the shiny floor. Her brown eyes searched the room, confused and terrified. Behind the counter, Lena stopped breathing. "Mira," she whispered. She ran to her daughter, pulling her close. "It's okay. You're not in trouble. You hear me? You're not in trouble." A harsh voice sliced through the silence. "What is a child doing in my cafe?" Carved Drex, the manager, stepped forward. His white jacket shone like metal. His hair was slicked back. His eyes were sharp and cold. "You brought a minor into a restricted work area," he said loudly. Everyone could hear. Everyone stared. "She stayed in the back," Lena said quickly. Her voice shook. "There was nowhere else today. The shelter turned us away. Our heater is broken." She wasn't near the food. "This is a premium ring," Carve interrupted. "We expect standards." Someone at a table smirked. Another looked away. Mira clutched her mother's apron. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to slip." "You did nothing wrong," Lena told her. Carve tapped his wrist console. A contract appeared in hologram. Clause 14. No dependents allowed. Zero tolerance. You are dismissed. The words hit harder than a physical blow. Collect your last credits. Return your uniform. Leave this level. No one defended her. No one spoke. Silence punished her more than the words. Lena held her chin high, even as her chest tightened. She took Myra's hand and walked out, step by painful step. Outside, the ring's noise hit them again, bright, loud, uncaring. Under a support beam, Mira whispered, "Mama, I ruined everything." Lena knelt and lifted her chin gently. "You ruined nothing. Do you understand?" "Nothing." A shadow fell over them. Lena turned, ready for more judgment. Instead, a man in a dark jacket stood there with a half-finished drink. His posture was relaxed but alert. A faint scar crossed his eyebrow. His eyes were calm and steady. He had seen everything. "My name is Reese Calder," he said quietly. "And if you'll let me, I'd like to offer you a job." For a moment, Lena thought the man was joking. People on Helion Station didn't offer help. They offered opinions, warnings, or empty sympathy. But a job? That never happened. She held Mira closer. "What are you trying to sell?" she asked sharply. Reese Calder didn't step forward. He didn't smile in a fake friendly way. He simply shifted his weight like someone trained to move with caution. "I'm not selling anything," he said. "I'm opening a cafe. I need someone who works hard and thinks fast. I saw both today." Lena almost laughed. "You saw me get fired. I saw you protect your daughter before anything else, Reese replied. That tells me more than a contract ever could. Mira peeked up at him, still trembling from the cold and embarrassment. Her voice came out small. You don't think I ruined her job? Reese crouched to her height. His tone softened. No. I think the wrong person lost their job today. Mira blinked. No adult had ever said that to her. A group of shoppers passed, bumping into Reese's shoulder. He didn't react. He kept his attention on the two people in front of him. Lena's guard stayed high. She scanned him quickly, clothes simple, but not cheap. Shoes reinforced. Hands steady. Eyes trained, but tired. A man used to danger, now choosing something quieter. What's the catch? She asked. No catch, he answered. Only work. And respect. Both ways. She didn't move. She didn't trust him. But she wasn't walking away either. Reese pointed down the curving corridor. There's an empty Unit 2 sections over. I signed the lease last cycle. I'm building Anchor Point Brew House. Come see it. If you don't like what you see, we part ways. Lena looked at Mira. The girl's socks were still wet. Her arms wrapped tight around herself. Mama, Mira whispered. Please, can we just look? Lena exhaled slowly. She was tired of doors closing. Tired of being treated like a problem. Tired of Mira being punished for existing. Fine, she said. We'll look. They walked together along the ring. Neon signs flickered overhead. Vendor bots rolled past, humming softly. The artificial gravity increased slightly near the maintenance rail, making Mira sway. Reese steadied her without touching her, guiding with a gentle gesture. Lena noticed. It mattered. They stopped at a half-lit shop front with metal shutters partly raised. Reese tapped a code. The door slid open. The inside was empty, but full of potential. Freshly scrubbed floors. Bare metal walls waiting for decoration. Stacks of crates covered in transport tape. A wide viewport at the back showed the swirling clouds of the planet below. Beautiful, dangerous, alive. Myra's eyes widened. It looks like the sky is breathing, she whispered. It kind of is, Reese said. Storms shift every few hours. Customers love watching them. A view like this brings people in before the menu does. Lena stepped inside slowly. The space felt different from Stellar Brew 9. The air didn't feel heavy. The walls didn't feel close. There was no smell of disinfectant hiding misery. Reese moved toward a crate and lifted a folded metal frame. This will be the main counter, he said. But you know cafe layouts better than I do. Where should it go? Lena frowned. You're asking me? I didn't bring you here to pretend I know everything, he replied. Show me. She walked the room, imagining foot traffic, seating, and workflow. She tapped a spot with her foot. Put it here, she said. Farther inside. Makes people walk in before they decide to leave. And it keeps the entrance clear. Reese nodded once. Then that's where it goes. He didn't argue. He didn't test her. He trusted her judgment in the first 5 minutes. Lena wasn't used to that. Mira wandered to the viewport, pressing her hands to the glass. We can see the storms move, she whispered. Do we get to stay here long? Only if your mother wants to, Reese said. Lena's stomach tightened. She kept her voice steady. You still haven't told me what you want in return. Work, he repeated simply. And honesty. If you ever disagree with something I do, say it. I don't need perfect people. I need real ones. Her throat tightened unexpectedly. Reese walked to a small back room. Before you answer anything, he called, help me test the kitchen. I need to make sure the heater works. A moment later, the warm smell of cooking protein filled the space. Myra's eyes lit up. Lena's stomach clenched with hunger she tried to hide. Reese noticed. Of course he did. Sit, he said quietly. Both of you. For the first time that day, Lena allowed herself to sit down. For the first time that day, Mira smiled. And for the first time in many cycles, something soft and dangerous stirred in Lena's chest. Hope. The smell of warm food spread slowly through the empty cafe unit. It mixed with the faint metallic scent of new wiring and the soft hum of the ventilation strips. For the first time since morning, the air felt gentle instead of sharp. Reese set 3 small plates on an overturned crate. The heater behind him buzzed quietly, its red lights flickering as it cooked the thin strips of protein and greens. Mira sat cross-legged, watching him with wide curiosity, her jumper still damp at the sleeves. Is this real food? She whispered. It's simple food, Reese said. But it's warm, and that's what matters today. Lena didn't sit at first. Old habits made her stand guarded, one hand resting lightly on her daughter's back. She watched Reese with narrowed eyes, waiting for the tone to shift, for the hidden condition, for the moment he revealed what he really wanted. But he stayed steady, quiet, patient. Sit, he said again, softer this time. This time, Lena obeyed. Mira took the first bite and gasped. It's hot. And good. Reese smiled faintly. That's a good sign. Lena ate more slowly. She never took large bites, not after years of rationing meals to stretch over days. But as warmth spread through her chest and stomach, her shoulders relaxed almost without her permission. Reese watched her only long enough to check she was eating. Then he looked away. That made Lena relax even more. When they finished, Reese wiped the small counter with a cloth and set the plates aside. All right, he said. You ready to see the plans? Plans. Mira repeated, eyes shining. Reese pulled a thin light board from a crate and tapped its corner. A simple layout projection expanded in the air, counter line, seating area, brewing wall, and supply room marked clearly. Lena leaned forward despite herself. You drew this? She asked. Last night. Spent half the cycle awake thinking of how to make a place that felt fair. Mira pointed at the glowing shapes. What's that circle? A reading corner, Reese said. For customers. Maybe for someone who needs a quiet place during the day. Mira smiled instantly. Lena's heart tightened at the sight. Reese continued. And this spot by the viewport will hold the main seats. People like eating next to the sky. It's beautiful, Mira whispered. Lena nodded, though she kept her face calm. It's practical, she said. Reese didn't disagree. He only replied, your turn. Tell me what needs fixing. Lena hesitated. Most bosses didn't like being corrected. But he waited, arms crossed lightly, expression open. She stepped around the projection, analyzing the flow. Move the brewing wall closer to the counter, she said. Less walking. Less chance of spills. Reese nodded. And the seating by the left wall, she continued, should angle slightly toward the viewport. Makes the room feel bigger. He nodded again. And this cubby near the door, it's a waste of space. Turn it into a storage nook. Done. His lack of argument unsettled her. But it also warmed something she thought had broken long ago, her confidence. Mira walked around the empty room, tapping spots on the floor with her boots. Where will I help? She asked. Lena opened her mouth to tell her she wouldn't be working. But Reese answered first. You'll help with things your size, he said. Cleaning small tables. Checking the floor for spills. And you can sit in the reading corner when you need rest. Myra's eyes lit up. No one ever lets me help, she said. They say kids get in the way. Reese crouched beside her. Well, they're wrong. A cafe needs all kinds of workers. Big and small. Lena's throat tightened again. She looked away, pretending to focus on the crates. After a moment, Reese stood and clapped his hands lightly. Let's get to work. If we finish mounting the counter frame, I can install the heating nodes tonight. Mira cheered quietly. Lena forced herself to stay composed. I'll hold the frame, she said. You bolt it. Reese passed her the lighter end. She lifted it easily, bracing it with her hip while he aligned the bolts. Their movements synced quickly, like they had worked together for cycles. The metal clicked into place with a satisfying sound. Good teamwork, Reese said. Lena dusted her hands. I've done worse with less. I know, he answered simply. Hours passed. The empty unit slowly transformed. Crates pushed aside. A path cleared. The counter frame locked down. Mira wiped dusty spots with a scrap cloth, humming softly as she worked. Late in the cycle, the station lights dimmed to warm evening tones. The cafe glowed softly from the heating panels and the viewport light. Reese stepped back and admired the progress. We're getting there, he said. Lena stood beside him, hands on her hips. It still needs work. It will get it, he said. But not tonight. Mira leaned against her mother, eyelids heavy. Can we come back? She murmured sleepily. Lena didn't answer right away. She looked at Reese. He nodded once. Both of you are welcome. Tomorrow. Next cycle. As long as you want. Mira smiled as she drifted into sleep. And for the first time in many cycles, Lena didn't feel like she was falling. She felt like she was landing. The next cycle began with a soft, artificial sunrise drifting across Helion Station's promenade. Shops opened their shutters. Air scrubbers hummed awake. Workers hurried toward early shifts, half asleep and half hoping for a better day than the last. But for Lena and Mira, something felt different this morning. They stood outside the half-lit cafe unit, the blue-green planet glowing through the viewport inside. The shutters lifted automatically. Reese had clearly set the override for them. Mira stepped through the doorway first, wearing the new green tunic from yesterday. It fit her perfectly, and Lena had hand-washed it the night before so it looked neat and fresh. Her yellow-striped socks peeked from under her shoes, making her look oddly proud and small at the same time. Reese was already inside, rolling his sleeves as he sorted through a fresh stack of crates. "You're early," he said. "You're the one who said morning," Lena replied. He gave a small nod that felt almost like approval. "Good. We have a lot to do today." Mira scanned the room, then ran straight to the viewport. "The storms are moving so fast today," she said. "Look, Mama. They look like spinning cotton." Lena smiled softly. "Stay away from the edges," she reminded her. Reese flipped a crate lid open. "Today we mount shelves and prep the seating area. After that, we test the brewing node." "Brewing node?" Mira echoed, stepping closer. Reese tapped a metal piece inside the crate. "This is what heats drinks evenly. Without it, everything tastes like warm metal." Mira wrinkled her nose. "You." Lena reached for the nearest crate and pulled out a set of small tools. "Tell me where you want the shelves." "You decide," Reese said. "You'll be the one using them more." That answer made her freeze. Most employers would never hand over control, not on day 2, not ever. "You trust me to choose?" she asked cautiously. "You did well yesterday," Reese replied. "You see things other people miss." Lena didn't respond, but something in her chest warmed. They spent the next hour aligning shelves and marking the walls with strips of orange tape. Reese drilled the mounting points while Lena held the metal steady. Mira wiped dust from the floor, taking her new no-trip hazard duty very seriously. Halfway through the work, a shadow crossed the doorway. Lena stiffened instantly. Standing outside the entrance was Carved Rex, the manager who fired her. His white jacket gleamed sharply under the walkway lights. His expression carried the same coldness as yesterday, only now it was mixed with curiosity and annoyance. "Well," Carve said, voice dripping with false politeness. "Look who decided to start their own little business project." Reese didn't look up. He drilled another bolt calmly, as if the man didn't exist. Carve's eyes shifted to Lena. "You didn't waste time, did you? Jumping to another shop? I hope you read their hygiene rules better than ours." Lena's jaw tightened. She stepped slightly in front of Mira, instinctively blocking her from view. Reese finally spoke. "You're standing in the doorway of a private work zone," he said calmly. "If you're here for coffee, we're not open yet." Carve lifted his chin. "I'm here because she violated station guidelines, and I need to." "No," Reese interrupted, still not looking at him. "You're here to see if you still have control over her." Carve blinked, thrown off balance. "Excuse me." Reese finally lowered his drill and faced him. His posture was relaxed, but his eyes were sharp, sharper than Lena had expected. "She worked for you," Reese said. "Not anymore. Whatever power you think you had ended the moment you fired her in front of customers." Carve scoffed. "She broke the rules. That's all there is." "No," Reese said evenly. "You broke the rule of basic decency." Carve's jaw twitched. "Are you lecturing me?" he snapped. "No," Reese replied. "Just correcting you." Mira peeked from behind Lena's legs, watching with wide eyes. Carve exhaled sharply and stepped backward. "This place won't last a cycle," he muttered. "Good luck running a cafe with this." He gestured rudely at Lena. Lena felt heat rise in her throat, but this time, not from shame. Something stronger, sharper. She wasn't alone anymore. Reese stepped forward just enough to make Carve pause. "We'll last," Reese said. "And when we open, we'll treat people better than you ever did." Carve's expression faltered for a split second. Then he turned and walked away with stiff shoulders and an irritated huff. The air felt lighter the moment he left. Mira tugged lightly on Lena's sleeve. "Mama, he didn't scare you today." Lena knelt beside her. "No," she said. "Not today." Reese returned to the brewing node without another word. But when he picked up the next bolt, Lena noticed his hands weren't calm, they were steady with purpose. He wasn't protecting her because he pitied her. He was protecting her because he believed she deserved better. For the first time in cycles, Lena felt strength returning to her, strength she thought she had lost. She stood taller. She held the metal frame without trembling. And as the quiet hum of the station settled around them, she realized something simple and terrifying. She wasn't doing this for survival anymore. She was doing it for a future that be why the next cycle. Anchor Point Brew House no longer looked like an empty metal unit. It looked like something waking up, half-built, half-dream, but full of life. Warm light glowed from new wall strips. Shelves stood firmly mounted. The brewing node hummed like a small heart waiting for a body to grow around it. Lena arrived with Mira right at the start of the morning shift. Mira wore her green tunic proudly and clutched a tiny cloth she used for wiping tables. She walked like someone who finally had a place she belonged. Reese was already inside, kneeling on the floor as he unpacked a supply crate. His hair was messy, his shirt dusty. He looked like he had worked through half the night again. "You sleep here?" Lena asked. Reese shrugged. "Sleep is optional. Progress is not." Mira giggled. "You look like a worker bot after a long shift." Reese put a hand over his chest dramatically. "I accept this insult. Worker bots are very efficient." Mira laughed louder. Her laughter filled the room like a small bell. Lena watched them with a strange, warm heaviness in her chest. Today felt stable, and stability was something she had nearly forgotten existed. Reese tapped the brewing node. "We test drinks today," he said. "Need your hands." Lena stepped forward, but he shook his head. "No, not yet. Today is Myra's turn." Mira froze. "Me? You will be the official taster," he said. "Your job is important. If something tastes bad, the whole cafe fails." Myra's eyes widened. "I'm important." "Very," Reese said, serious for once. She nearly burst from pride. Lena swallowed the sudden emotion rising in her throat. They worked through the morning. Reese mixed basic drink blends. Mira tasted each one with dramatic concentration. Lena took notes, adjusting ingredients based on Myra's reactions. "Too sour. Too sweet. Tastes like burnt metal. This one tastes like a happy storm." Reese wrote that one down with a straight face. But halfway through their testing, another visitor appeared, someone unexpected. A tall woman in a dark gray uniform stepped inside. Her hair was tied tight, her badge polished to a mirror shine. "Station enforcement." Lena froze. Her breath caught. Old fear returned instantly. Fear of questions, fines, warnings, punishments. Reese turned calmly. "Morning," he said. "Can we help you?" The officer looked around the unit. "Reese Calder?" she asked. "That's me." "You submitted a small business registration request," she said. "We're here to inspect progress and confirm work conditions." Her gaze shifted to Lena, then Mira. "You have a minor in a construction zone?" the officer questioned. Mira stepped behind her mother, gripping Lena's tunic hard. Lena's heart thudded. "We're not doing heavy work today," Reese said calmly. "She's helping with tasting. No hazards. No machinery running." The officer raised an eyebrow. "Tasting?" "Yes," Reese said. "Quality control." Mira peeked from behind Lena, holding her tiny tasting spoon like proof. The officer stepped closer, scanning the space with her wrist device. "Your unit is organized," she said finally. "Floor is clear. Tools stored safely. Ventilation active. No exposed wiring." She paused. "That's unusual for a new business." Reese shrugged lightly. "We take care of our place." "And your staff?" she asked, glancing at Lena again. "They take care of the place more than I do," he replied. The officer looked at Mira again, then lowered her scanner. "Very well," she said. "You're approved to proceed. But keep the miners safe. Station rules are strict about that." "We know," Reese said. The officer nodded and left as quietly as she came. Once she was gone, Mira exhaled loudly. "She scared me." Lena knelt and hugged her. "It's okay. She just checks the rules," Mira whispered. "But she looked at us like we didn't belong." Reese crouched beside them. "That's because she doesn't know you yet," he said. "When the cafe opens, she'll be a customer too." Myra's face lit up at the thought. Lena looked at Reese. "You handled that well," she said. "I've dealt with worse," he replied. Then he added with a softer tone, "And you two handled it better than most." Lena stood again, brushing dust from her hands. "So what's next?" Reese pointed at a long, flat crate in the center of the room. "The tables." Mira clapped. "Can I help?" "You're the assistant manager," Reese said. "You help with everything." Mira puffed up with pride again. They worked together through the next hours, assembling tables, aligning legs, tightening bolts. Lena and Reese moved smoothly, almost wordlessly, one lifting, one steadying, one adjusting. It felt natural. Too natural. Like they had been doing it much longer than 2 cycles. When the last table stood firm, Reese looked around the room and nodded. "We're almost ready for a soft open," he said. Lena stared at the half-built cafe, at the clean floor, the warm lights, the small table Mira had tested drinks on. And for the first time since arriving on Helion Station, she believed something she had not dared to believe in cycles. Things might actually get better. By the sixth cycle, Anchor Point Brew House no longer felt like a project. It felt like a beginning. The cafe had airflow, lighting, a working brewing node, and tables that stood steady instead of wobbling. Even the walls seemed warmer, as if the space finally understood it was becoming something real. Mira leaned against the viewport, drawing little shapes on the fog her breath left on the glass. She looked healthier, warmer, even a little taller in her new clothes. Every few minutes, she ran back to the brewing counter to check on Lena and Reese. "Are we opening today?" she asked for the third time. "Not yet," Reese said. "Tomorrow is the soft opening. Today is training." "Training sounds important," she replied proudly. "It is," he said, ruffling her hair. Lena stood by the brewing node, studying the controls. Her hands moved confidently now, no longer shaking with fear of doing something wrong. She checked temperature displays, flow regulators, and the grinder intake. "You learn fast," Reese said. "I had to," Lena answered. "Life doesn't give you time to be slow." He didn't argue. He only watched her with a quiet respect he never voiced aloud. They worked for hours, practicing drink orders, polishing counters, setting chairs at perfect angles. Mira wiped the table edges with serious concentration, as if each swipe changed the fate of the cafe. Halfway through the shift, Reese pulled a sealed package from a crate. "These are for you," he said, offering it to Lena. She opened it carefully. Inside lay a simple but neat staff uniform, dark gray fabric with copper seams, flexible, comfortable, and respectful. Not revealing, not humiliating, not decorative, just practical. "This is mine," she asked softly. "Your position deserves a proper uniform," Reese said. "Floor lead. Not server. Not assistant. Lead." The word hit her like a warm wave. She had worn uniforms before. Cheap, tight, degrading ones designed to make workers blend into the scenery like decorations. But this felt like dignity. Mira tugged on the sleeve. "Mama, you look like a captain." Lena laughed, embarrassed, touching her hair. "I don't know about that." Reese crossed his arms. "I do." Before she could respond, a sudden notification pinged from the wall panel. A message flashed. "Supply delivery, incoming." Reese frowned. "We didn't schedule anything today." Moments later, the shutter slid open. A service drone rolled inside, carrying a heavy crate. Behind it walked a tall figure. Too tall, too stiff, too familiar. Lena's breath caught. Carved Rex, the same manager who fired her. He stepped past the drone, hands behind his back, eyeing the cafe with a twisted smirk. "So this is what you've been doing," Carve said. "Pretending you're important? Training? Leading?" Mira stepped behind her mother instantly. Reese positioned himself between them and Carve, not aggressively, but firmly. "You're not welcome here," Reese said. Carve ignored him. He walked slowly toward Lena, looking her up and down in her new uniform. "You belong in Stellar Brew 9, he said coldly. "Not here playing pretend." "Leave," Reese said again. Carve turned to him. "I came to offer her job back." Lena blinked in shock. "Why would you do that?" "Because," Carve said with forced calm, "customers complained about losing the fastest worker on the floor. The cafe is struggling without you. Congratulations, you're useful again." Mira grabbed Lena's hand tighter. Reese took a step forward. "She's not going back." Carve finally looked at him fully. "And who are you to decide that?" "The person who actually respects her." Carve scoffed. "Respect doesn't pay credits." "No," Reese said. "But dignity does." Lena felt heat rise in her chest. Old fear mixed with something new, strength. Carve lifted his chin. "Lena Orris, come back to Stellar Brew. I'll forget yesterday happened." She took a deep breath. Her hands trembled slightly, not with fear, but with clarity. "No," she said. Carve blinked. "No, I'm not going back," Lena repeated. "Not to a place where my daughter isn't allowed to exist. Not to someone who thinks kindness is weakness." Carve's nostrils flared. "You think you'll survive here? You think this place will last?" "Yes," Lena said softly. "Because here I matter." Reese didn't smile, but something changed in his eyes, a quiet pride. Carve scoffed again and turned toward the door. "Enjoy your fantasy cafe. It won't last a week." He walked out without another word. The shutters slid closed behind him. The room fell silent. Mira finally whispered. Mama, you told him no. Lena knelt and hugged her tightly. Yes, I did. Reese leaned against the counter. You didn't just say no, he said quietly. You chose yourself. Lena stood slowly, lifting her chin. For the first time, she said, I chose a life that doesn't hurt. Mira slipped her tiny hand into hers. And tomorrow? We open. Reese nodded. Tomorrow, he said, we show this ring what real respect looks like. Lena felt the truth settle deep inside her. This cafe wasn't just a workplace anymore. It was a future, and she was finally part of it. The next cycle arrived with a soft golden glow spreading across Helion Station's promenade. But this time, the morning felt different, charged, expectant, like the whole ring was holding its breath. Today was opening day. Lena stood outside the cafe with Myra's hand in hers. Mira wore her green tunic and fresh leggings, her hair brushed neatly. Lena wore her new uniform, fitting her like a quiet promise. You belong here. Inside the shutters, Reese moved with calm steps, setting the final items on the shelves. Cups lined the counter. Brewing node warmed to a gentle hum. Tables were perfectly aligned. Even the ritual lamp in the reading corner glowed amber. Lena had taught him the sequence last night. She stepped inside with Mira, and for a moment, the three of them just stood in the center of the cafe, looking around. It looks real now, Mira whispered. It is real, Reese said. He turned to Lena. You ready? Lena took a breath. More than ever. Reese tapped the control pad. The shutters lifted fully. The cafe opened to the walkway with a soft hiss. Within minutes, curious passers-by peeked inside. The warm lights, the smell of fresh brew, and the view of the swirling planet pulled them in like a gentle tide. The first customer stepped up. Lena straightened her back and offered a genuine, steady smile. Welcome to Anchor Point. What can we get for you? Her voice didn't shake. Her hands didn't tremble. This time, she wasn't afraid of anyone staring. The customer ordered a storm brew. Mira took her tasting spoon and whispered, That's the good one, which made the man laugh softly. By mid-shift, customers filled every table. Some watched the storms through the viewport. Some sipped their drinks quietly. Some complimented the warm lighting or the clean design. Lena moved between tables with calm confidence, taking orders, guiding customers, teaching Reese small tricks she had learned over years of working cafes where she had no voice. Reese watched her with quiet respect from behind the counter. You're a natural, he said when she passed. No, she corrected. I just never had a chance to show it. Mira walked between tables, carefully checking for spills. Customers smiled at her. One even handed her a tiny hollow sticker as a tip. I like this job, she whispered to Lena. Lena brushed her hair gently. Me too. The morning rush eased, but the calm didn't last long. A familiar figure appeared outside the cafe. Carved Rex. He stood with arms crossed, watching the full tables and the smooth flow of customers. His expression tightened as he scanned the room. First at the warm lights, then at the clean counters, then at Lena wearing her new uniform. Finally, his eyes landed on Reese. Carve stepped forward. Lena's heartbeat quickened, but this time, she didn't feel small. She walked to the counter, Mira holding her hand tightly. Carve stopped at the entrance. So, he said slowly, you managed to attract customers. Seems so, Reese replied, wiping the counter casually. Carve turned his gaze to Lena. If you come back now, I'll make you shift supervisor. Double pay. Lena stared at him calmly. No, she said. Carve blinked. You're choosing this over stability? Yes, she said simply. Because here, I am treated like a person, not decoration. Mira stepped in front of her mother, tiny and brave. My mama is the best. You don't see it. He does. Carve's expression faltered for a moment. His mouth tightened, but he had nothing to say. Reese leaned his elbows on the counter. You heard her, he said. You need workers? Train them better. Carve exhaled sharply, spun on his heel, and walked away. The cafe stayed quiet for a long moment after he left. Then a customer near the window clapped. Another joined. Soon the entire cafe applauded quietly, not loudly, not dramatically, but enough to make Lena's eyes burn. Reese placed a hand on the counter, not touching her, but close enough for her to feel the strength in his presence. You did well, he said softly. No, Lena whispered, brushing tears away. We did well. Mira tugged her sleeve excitedly. Mama, someone ordered the storm drink again. Lena laughed, wiping her eyes. Let's go, assistant. We have customers. Reese moved beside them, voice low and warm. This is just the beginning. Lena looked around, at the glowing lamps, the busy tables, the view of the swirling planet beneath them. At Mira smiling. At Reese standing beside her like a steady pillar. For the first time in cycles, Lena felt something powerful take root in her chest. This wasn't just a job. It was a home, a new life, a place built on respect, not fear. A place they built together. As the cafe filled with warm voices and soft music, the storms below the station drifted, glowing with light. And Lena knew deep inside, they had finally found their anchor point.